Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar today, Building Engaging Apps on Customer Loyalty. We've got 5 key elements for success. Hi, my name is Dylan Steele. I am a product marketer here on the Salesforce One platform. So thank you all for joining us today. We've got a tight schedule, so we're going to move fast because we have a ton of great content for you today. Before we get started, I want to just make sure we review a couple of the ways you'll be able to interact with us during the webinar broadcast. First, we love to take your questions. We're going to answer some of them at the end of our session today. So please find the question button. It's in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And if there's anything you'd like to ask of myself or any of the presenters here, please click the button and type your questions. We left time to make sure and cover that at the end. We also want to make sure that you find the voting tab. We're going to ask a couple polls at the beginning to get your feedback, so make sure to look at the top and you'll see a little tab called Votes, and we're going to get rolling with a couple questions here. But first I want to introduce my co-presenter today. I'm joined by Margaret Francis from Heroku. So welcome, Margaret.
Good day, everyone.
Great. So thank you for joining us. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So to get started, like I said, we'd like to ask you 2 questions. So find that poll button, the vote button up at the top. The first question is, we'd like to know about you and about your most important element of your current customer loyalty program. If you're running a customer loyalty program now, how are you doing it? How are you incenting people? How are you tracking rewards? Is it A, in-store loyalty and or rewards program? B, are you running an email or a physical mailing list? C, do you have a web-based web page that's running your loyalty program? D, do you have a mobile loyalty app, so custom mobile app? Or E, you're not currently running a program, and that's hopefully why you're here with us today. So click on that tab, go ahead and vote. Great, I see the votes that are coming in. I'll give just another few moments for people to vote, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. Great, so the next question is all about how do you want to spend your time. So where would you like to be spending your time if you don't currently have a program, or you do and you're thinking about what that might be? Which of these elements would be most important to you, and where would your efforts be most rewarded? Is it an in-store loyalty program or rewards program, an email or physical mailing list, a web-based loyalty program, a mobile loyalty app, or don't know? So take a moment, have a look at those questions, answer them, and while you're finishing those up, I'd like to go ahead and get started. So here's a quick agenda of what we'll cover today. First, we're going to talk about the 5 essential elements of engaging loyalty apps. I spend a ton of time on the road and here in San Francisco with our customers, talking to them, talking to our product managers about the best practices. So we're going to share some of those with you today. We're going to talk about the Salesforce platform and how we use it to build customer-facing apps of loyalty and other kinds. And then we're going to show you a demo that we've created of a great customer loyalty application that blends some of our best technologies, and talk about what a great customer-facing loyalty app looks like. So with that, let's dive in. We've got 5 essential elements, and we want to cover them all. And first of all of our 5 essential elements that we're going to walk through on customer loyalty apps, the very first element is creating engaging experiences. And when we think about creating engaging experiences, we are in a digital mobile age, so we think about creating these experiences via applications and via apps that work both on the web and on mobile phones. I've got a great example of Uber here, and we love Uber because it checks a lot of the key boxes for us in terms of building a relationship with customers, but also delivering them what they'd like. So when we look at some of the key elements of this application, it's personalized, it remembers you, it not only knows who you are, but it knows your payment information. It also knows where you are. It keeps track of this information to serve up a better experience. It's immediate. There's no lags. There's no delays. There's no requirement to rely on email or old names or passwords. And finally, it's a beautiful design, and a beautiful design checks a couple of boxes. It makes it easy for customers to engage with the application because everything they need is at their fingertips, but it also allows you as a company, as a marketer, to convey your brand message in a way that you decide inside of the application. So when we think about building these types of applications, it's important also to think about the technology that supports them. And we look at a big shift that's happened here inside of not just a loyalty-specific use case, but across technology as a whole when we're looking towards consumer and employee-facing applications. And that's a shift a shift from systems of record where you're managing data and anonymous information that helps you maintain one-way relationships to talk directly to people, and independent transactions into a world we call systems of engagement. So transforming technology where it's people-centric, it's sharing-centric, it's social. It allows you to manage these relationships and have a conversation with your customers to give them that one-to-one experience, to bring them these connected experiences. So when we think about how to do that, we think about this technology systems as a whole. And on the platform, we say in the Internet of Customers, where the Internet, everything we're doing is focused on our customer audience, it's actually applications that connect everything. And when we look across a couple different groups of constituents who use these applications, could be the customers of the custom mobile app, might be your partner organizations, or even your employees, either on mobile or on the desktop. All these applications need to be connected, and they all need to share a same data source and single model. Because when these applications become really powerful to give engaging experiences, it's because they all rely on a single data model that allows them to interact with each other. So what an employee does isn't siloed from what a customer does or a partner does or even a connected product does. And that's part of what we tried to create with the Salesforce One platform, is a single technology tool that's expansive enough to help you run all of your applications across employees and customers to rely on a single data source that helps you power these interactions, not just between apps, but also between people. So this is a simple visual representation of our Salesforce One platform. And as you look, I'll run through this just very briefly, but at the very bottom, you'll see some of the tools that you can use to build apps on our platform. There's Force.com. This is our core technology for building employee-facing apps. There's Heroku for building customer-facing apps, which we'll get into in just a moment. And there's ExactTarget Fuel for our marketing journeys. And on top of that, we've layered our Salesforce One platform APIs and our new mobile app to deliver a bunch of different experiences across apps you can buy from us, like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud, or apps that you can build, custom apps for your employees and custom apps for your partners. And when all this technology sits on one cloud stack, we're able to deliver a connected experience between customers and employees. So with that, when we talk about these tools, we'd really like to give an introduction to one that we think is most important for creating engagement, and that is Heroku. So with that, what I'd like to do is let me tell one quick story before we pass to Heroku. So when we talk about a full technology stack and how all these different pieces work together, one example is Trunk Club. Now, Trunk Club is an online men's retailer. Think about if you're a guy like me who doesn't like to go to the store, doesn't like to shop, doesn't like to go to the mall. Rather than go to the mall and try on outfits, you can log into the Trunk Club mobile app, put in your preferences of styles you like, your sizes, and a personal stylist on the other end will work with you to find outfits that you like, send them in a trunk via mail, and things that you like you keep, things you don't like you send back. That customer-facing app is built on Heroku, and it provides a great customer-facing experience. And all that experience is connected on the back end to Salesforce, where the employees have their own applications that allow them to interact with the customers, to provide information about the customers that help them pick the right styles for them, and ultimately provide a better experience end-to-end, integrating their sales, their service, their marketing, and their customer loyalty, their customer application, all in one single system. So like I said, the customer-facing app technology is built on Heroku, and I'd like to have Margaret take a moment to talk a little bit about what Heroku is and what it can deliver for us for those customer-facing experiences.
Thank you all for giving us this much time today to give you an overview, not just of the 5 principles for building a loyalty app, but also of the elements that we use to do it. And one of those is Heroku. So what is Heroku? Heroku is part of the Salesforce family, part of the Salesforce platform. It's the platform as a service, and you can really use it to build, run, and scale customer applications. I absolutely love that Trunk Club example because I think it really illustrates the future we see, where one app is tooled for employees and another app is tooled for the consumers that they serve. And all of this is delivered via one platform, Salesforce. Heroku really runs customer apps, and it runs customer apps of all different types and stripes. Today we're here really to talk about one of the sort of primary use cases we see on Heroku, which is the marketing and loyalty apps. But the platform actually runs any number of other customer websites, e-commerce and media sites, mobile and SaaS apps, whole portfolios of apps for major Fortune 500 type brands that build, whole suites of different applications for different audiences, promotions, campaigns, and businesses. And so I just wanted to make sure you all were sort of exposed to this kind of almost the consumer flip side of the Salesforce platform story, because I think that Heroku is an incredibly powerful tool if you want to build an application in your own language or in the framework of your choice. And that is what is so powerful about Heroku, is that you can actually build in Python, you can build in Ruby, you can build in PHP, Java, Node, whatever your choice is. And lately, you can now do that with complete data layer integration with Salesforce. So I'm actually the product manager for a service called Heroku Connect. And what Heroku Connect does is enable you to connect all of the data in your consumer app running on Heroku on top of a standard relational database, Postgres. Maybe there's a Node app on top. Maybe it's a Java or a Ruby app on top. You can connect all that really seamlessly into your Salesforce deployment, and I'm going to show you exactly how that works. What's so critical about this is it means that all of your data is really in the cloud, so you get the benefits of scalability both on the Salesforce side and on the platform side with Heroku, and are really able to take advantage of all the benefits that the cloud offers. And this complete solution really enables customers like Trunk Club to build everything that they need on Salesforce.
Great. So thank you, Margaret, and we'll get it back to Heroku a little bit later. It's great to think about the technology as a whole and that your customer-facing apps are not siloed and separate from your employee-facing apps. I know I've had experiences with customer-facing apps that aren't really valuable. We call those throwaway apps because they don't really allow you to track anything meaningful. They're not connected to any kind of serious process. And that's actually our next key element for customer loyalty applications, is connecting those applications to a business process. And this is absolutely essential because when we look at customer-facing apps, they actually connect two critical elements. We talked about the customer engagement element before, about delivering a personalized app, one that delivers immediate results, and that's beautiful. Well, all of that connects to a business process on the back end to really power that application. So in order to be personalized, it allows the employees to have customer insights to predict their needs and give them exactly what they want. It's synced with a real-time workflow, and that real-time workflow in an Uber app might deliver a car, but in a customer loyalty app, it might deliver a promotion, a discount. It might incent them to come to a store or give them some kind of reward. And, of course, on the beautiful side, it's related to your marketing efforts. It's continuously building these brands. And connecting those two elements actually relies on two different sets of technology, right? We've talked about the customer engagement technology and the business process technology, and in the past, these were two separate pieces. Running on two potentially separate tools. The customer engagement technology relies on often the latest and greatest. It's open source stacks. It allows your developers or your marketers to rapidly iterate and run at consumer internet scale. Whereas your business process technology in the past has been built in a different way, around customer data that's separate, around dashboards and reporting. It's really process focused. So marrying these two is essential, but it's often hard. And I look at a couple different types of companies, of course, here at our headquarters in San Francisco, but across the U.S. and the globe. Who's been able to do this successfully? Well, there's really two groups. It's the startups, the people who are willing to pay top dollar for the latest and greatest developers who are building in the newest programming languages, and they're really able to start from scratch so they can build their entire business and their app from the ground up to make sure they integrate these two technologies. And the other people who've done this really well are really large enterprises, Fortune 100 companies who are able to build massive IT resources and spend tons of money to put these apps together. A few great examples that come to mind are loyalty programs like Starbucks, right? They have a fantastic loyalty app that integrates with their POS systems and their back end, their payment systems, but that's not easy to wire together. That takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and we need a new way to do that, and we've been looking for a new way to deliver that to our customers. So we've tried to deliver a full package to connect these easier and more cheaply than you would have before, which is connecting Heroku, which allows you to run some of this customer-facing application technology, open source stacks, and the ability to run in new programming languages, and connect that directly to your business process on the back end in Force.com. So you're no longer building these in silos, and you're no longer spending millions and millions of dollars and hiring massive IT armies to connect the two. We've already laid the technology foundation for you to be able to do that. So what I'd like to do is pass back to Margaret, and what she's going to do is show you an example of a customer-facing application running on Heroku that is synced using Heroku Connect directly with Salesforce.
What we want to show you today in terms of Heroku Connect is how this bidirectional data synchronization service works to unlock the power of your Salesforce data by exposing it in a Heroku Postgres database so that you can build your custom application in your open source technology of choice on Heroku as a platform. And to do that, what I'm going to do is show you a fictional retailer. Let's call them Nibs. They're a high-end artisanal chocolatier. They want to build a mobile loyalty app. I noticed from some of the voting that a lot of you are interested in this particular topic. So let's call this retailer Nibs. They want to build an app that not only sells chocolates and pushes promotions, but also really incents the kind of social sharing and purchase behavior they want. This is a very common scenario for a brand that is building an app on Heroku. They want absolute pixel-perfect control of the application experience that they are delivering, and they might even want to use something like a social auth like Facebook. And so now you can see I've just logged into this application, which I've downloaded, Nibs, as Maddie Grant. And I've been a member of this application. I've been shopping with Nibs for some months now, but I don't have a lot of loyalty points in the loyalty program. And so I'm going to go in and take a couple of different actions. And again, this is a very typical app delivery experience for Heroku. Maybe I'm going to browse through some special offers, and I love dandelion chocolate, so I'm going to go ahead and save that to my wallet, maybe share that one on Twitter with my friends. Maybe I'll do the same with these incredible chocolates. And one of the things we often see in loyalty apps is that brands really want to incent activities like social sharing. So here's Maddie. She's just acquired a whole bunch of points from taking these social sharing actions inside the Nibs loyalty app. There's a number of other things Maddie can do inside this app. She could check for the closest retail store. She could potentially tell us a little bit about her preferences. Maybe she likes dark chocolate. Maybe she's a t-shirt size medium. Of course, Maddie bears no relationship to me whatsoever. This is a very, very typical scenario for the brands we see building mobile loyalty apps on Heroku today. Now, what's so critical and so interesting about this particular application, and I'm going to go in and just shop for a couple more products like chocolate stout. Well, it's still daytime here in the Pacific, so I'll go for some more dandelion chocolate. What's so fascinating about all of this is that all of the data that we are generating right now inside this native iOS app is actually syncing in real time to Salesforce. So let me switch over here and show you this browser view that's ticking over on the side. You can see this is Heroku Connect. It's busy polling for updates to all of these different objects. If I actually walk over to Salesforce and I take a look at Maddie's record, and remember, I walked in with absolutely no loyalty points and absolutely no interactions here. You'll now notice that I'm a Trinitario member of this program, just as I am here in this nice mobile app. And you'll notice that I've just taken a whole bunch of actions, like sharing products and offers on Twitter and on Google, saving things to my wish list. This is exactly the kind of data that you would need to power an employee interaction with Maddie, to power a promotion, to restock your shelves, to decide how important dark chocolate is going to be for the fall or the winter season. And if I do it again, you'll see more information come through again. This time I'm nuts about nuts. And I'm going to take all these new actions, and let's see. I'll share it on Google. Oh, I've achieved a whole new loyalty program level. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen in Salesforce. And you're going to see, there I am. There's my 10,000 point level. I am now a bona fide member of the highest level of the Nibs Artisanal Chocolatier Loyalty Program. So this is a very simple Node.js app. It's deployed on Heroku. This is very, very typical of the kinds of things that we see brands wanting to build for that loyalty program on the Salesforce platform, as long as they can maintain that data layer integration with Salesforce that powers all of the business processes, all of the the promotions, the ordering, the clienteling, the order processing, the BI, the metrics that they really rely on the Salesforce platform to give them, especially when they've really got a good investment in the Salesforce platform today. So let me hand it back over to Dylan to talk about some other kind of best practices in terms of building and delivering that loyalty application.
Yeah, thank you, Margaret. That's, I think, a fantastic example of what happens when you link your customer loyalty experience into your business process. Once you get that data in there, I think there's tons else you can do, everything from keeping track of that particular customer record to keeping track of dashboards and information that actually allows you to see how are offers performing, which offers are performing best, and then re-engaging with customers with options that actually allow them to perform well. So with that, we'll carry on with our WebEx webinar, and let's go ahead and advance the slides. So if you can, Ben, let's go ahead to our next slide.
And actually, let me answer a question that came in on the question tab while we switch back over to the slides. Someone asked if the syncing was immediate, and I'm just going to nerd out for one moment here, and you'll have to forgive me if you're on more of the marketing side. Yes, it's almost instantaneous. Heroku Connect supports all standard, all custom objects, and we can either choose to poll at a defined interval. You set it 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 60 minutes, or we can choose to use the Salesforce streaming API and do event-driven syncing. And that works from Salesforce into Heroku Postgres, and from Heroku Postgres back into Salesforce. So it's a very, very fast loop, and there's quite a bit of documentation available on the Heroku Dev Center site where I absolutely take questions and follow up on feedback there as well. That's always a channel to reach out to your people at Salesforce.
Great. So we've moved on. We talked about building engaging experiences and linking those experiences directly into your employee systems. Well, our third essential element of customer loyalty apps is building those loyalty apps in a way that they can easily scale to consumer demand. And what does that mean to easily scale to consumer demand? Well, I think about how fast content and media gets shared around the world today. The tweet here is one from the Academy Awards. If you've seen it, I'm not surprised. It had over 3.5 million retweets and actually broke Twitter for the better part of a half an hour. So think about the same thing happening for your customer loyalty app and your customer loyalty experiences, maybe your offers. It's very possible that while you may not get 3.5 million shares immediately, things can become social and move very quickly across your customer base. A hot offer can get redeemed very fast. So thinking about building on top of an architecture and an infrastructure that's able to support not just the customers you have today, but the potential for the prospects and customers that might hit your loyalty experience tomorrow. So when we think about that, we think again about Heroku, and there's kind of 2 points that are essential to Heroku. The first, I think, is around Heroku being able to deliver across millions of applications and requests per day, per hour. There's already over 300 million apps, including web apps and mobile apps running on Heroku, processing 5 billion requests per day. So they're definitely set up to scale, as well as the ability to auto-scale with Heroku. So when you build a customer-facing app on Heroku, you don't have to worry about provisioning more servers, provisioning more racks, making sure that you're set up for demand. We've built inside Heroku auto-scaling that can scale up from dozens of processes, dozens of requests a day to literally millions a day inside your app automatically and instantaneously, making sure that you're protected for no matter how popular your application becomes. It's also essential as you think of global scale to be accessible via the internet. A web-based application that can be available at any time, anywhere, is definitely essential and important to a customer loyalty experience, because part of the loyalty experience is extending beyond your 4 walls, beyond the actual physical location of your stores, to reach out to your customers when they're thinking about your brand, no matter what device they're on and no matter where they are in the world. So building that on top of a cloud application helps you do that. Moving on to our fourth piece, our fourth essential element, it's about moving fast and moving at the speed of technology. So I'll pass it back over to Margaret to tell us a little bit about what that means with Heroku.
Yes, and it's also a perfect place to answer some of the questions that have come up on the feed as we go. One of the virtues of Heroku is that you can actually build really using the technology, the language, the framework of your choice. It's a platform which is focused on developer productivity. And so it's absolutely amazing to develop on it if you are, in fact, a Ruby on Rails developer or a Node developer. One of the questions that was asked in the webinar panel was, how long does it take? What's the learning curve to develop a customer-facing app on Heroku using Heroku Connect? And I'm going to answer that a couple of ways. I think there is so much power in Force.com and the declarative style of development that it supports. You can really get an app up and running in days when you know what you're doing. It is an astonishingly powerful business productivity tool. But I would characterize Heroku as a little bit more of a developer productivity tool. Heroku Connect can be set up and configured by a business person, an administrator, a Salesforce administrator in a matter of minutes. It is really straightforward to use. It typically takes 30 minutes top to bottom to get it all set up and syncing data from Salesforce into Heroku Postgres via Force.com using Heroku Connect. But to actually build an application, I think it depends how complex the application functionality is, how polished it is, and how polished the developer team is in delivering an application on that framework. So Heroku is much more of an imperative programming platform than Force.com typically is perceived to be. And I think that goes to the difference between Heroku and Salesforce One. That's how the question is asked. We don't think of it quite that way. We think of it as one platform. It's the Salesforce platform, and it has a number of different tools, approaches, and technologies inside it. One of those is Heroku, which is a platform for building apps in any language or framework. And another is really Force.com, which is about more declaratively building those apps and about accessing the platform services that power Salesforce as a system of record. So I think one of the things that Dylan highlighted well in that architecture slide earlier is that as the importance of technology to all of our businesses grow, so too do we diversify and improve our approaches for helping you get all the value you can out of it. That is absolutely what Salesforce is about. So let me point out we've got a whole bunch of different supported languages. We just launched PHP, the new hip-hop VM, same as Facebook. We're that cool. Obviously in terms of building on Salesforce as a platform, we're very much dedicated to helping businesses scale out globally securely. Very, very important to us, and an absolute reason to choose this platform over any other. But sometimes moving at the speed of technology means you really do have to be free to go with what your in-house developers, your marketing agency, or what you yourself know how to do. And that may very well be Java or PHP, and not necessarily Apex. And that's part of the reason why Heroku is such a critical part of the platform quiver.
Great, yeah. What we've tried to do is really blend the power of Heroku developer productivity with Salesforce declarative productivity, so that your best developers in their specific language can build that customer loyalty or customer-facing app in any language, make it as custom and beautiful as they like, and easily plug it into that employee-facing experience that's built on Force.com. So we're getting on in our 5 essential elements. We're actually on to the very last element, which is when you build these customer loyalty applications, it's important to remember that these applications build relationships between people. It's great to get lost in the ideas of offers and redemptions, points, and all these different pieces that can help incent behavior, but ultimately all the touch points between your business and your customers should be about connecting people. So that's what we've tried to do with Heroku Connect, is bring in more information from your loyalty app into a customer profile, because the more you know about a customer, the more you're able to serve their needs. And those needs get served by your employees, whether it's your salespeople on the floor or whether it's your service people answering their queries and helping them solve problems. Ultimately, knowing more about your customer and sending their behavior helps you know what they're going to do, it helps you incent the behavior that you'd like to see, and helps serve them better. So I wanted to give one last customer example. This customer example is from Red Robin. If you don't know about Red Robin, they are a food company. They are a restaurant here in the United States. They do fantastic burgers and other types of American food, and they had built a previous loyalty application. It was running on the web only, and they were having some issues with it crashing under the traffic every time they ran promotions and campaigns. They are actually running a customer loyalty program that has millions of users, upwards of multiple millions of users, and their loyalty app was not performing at scale when required. So they actually rewrote their app in Java, in a language they knew, on Heroku. It helped them handle their traffic spikes seamlessly, and now they're in the process of rolling out a new app. It integrates with their Salesforce system as well. They're using Heroku Connect. And ultimately, this provides deeper insights into their customers and tracking. Customers can check in when they get to their closest Red Robin location. Their customer loyalty app called Royalty, Red Robin Royalty, allows a customer to check in a location. It provides more information about that customer to the store. It lets them redeem promotions, but ultimately it improves that customer experience by not only incenting them to come back to the store, but providing more information to the greeter, to the server, to make that service experience all the more better for the customer, to keep them returning back, because at the end of the day, it's those experiences above and beyond the app itself that are helping to incent that behavior.
I think one of the things that's most compelling to me about the Red Robin story is that loyalty is very much about intimacy at scale. And this is a brand that found that it really needed Salesforce and all of the employee-facing functionality they could get from the Salesforce app, the Salesforce platform, to deliver the kind of service and intimacy experience that they want to give their guests and clients, to get all of the analytics, to get all of the business process and workflow integration, and yet to deliver a consumer-facing application that is natively delivered on iOS and Android devices. They really needed quite a different thing, and that was the platform that is Heroku and the connector between them two, which is Heroku Connect. And one of the questions that has come up in the question here is, how much familiarity do you need sort of with the native operating systems on mobile devices? The fact is that the application I showed you runs just fine on the web. You can go hit it yourself, ssdbc.herokuapp.com, and there's simply a native build that I showed you on my phone. It is, in fact, Heroku Connect is, in fact, available for free trials today. If you are, just get in touch with your account manager, your account rep, or fill out the web form. We'd absolutely like for people to test drive it and try it out, because we find it so incredibly powerful to unlock the power of both platforms via this data integration service. I apologize if there are any questions that aren't really germane to kind of the loyalty precepts that we want to make sure we cover on today's webinar. We'll make sure to get back to people offline with all of those. So feel free to ask whatever it is you might ask, and we'll try and keep the content for today's webinar focused on loyalty and those best practices in loyalty, because loyalty for a lot of brands is a true differentiator. It's about creating preference in their customers and their consumers and their partners for their brand in general, and delivering top-notch mobile experiences. However you do it using the Salesforce platform is a defining success element for us, and we hope for all of you.
Great. So with that, we'll continue to take your questions. Margaret, thank you for answering some of them that have already popped up. I see a couple more questions that we'll answer for you, and please go ahead and include a couple more. We've got a few more minutes. We can answer them for you. So there's a question around Salesforce One, the mobile application in Heroku. I see it's asking, is Salesforce One sat above Heroku in the architecture, but is Heroku separate? The way that works is our Salesforce One mobile app, which anyone on the line, if you're running Salesforce, can download today. It's in the Apple and Android App Store, is really focused on employees. So that's an employee-facing application. It can be synced with your customer-facing app, but that's not really designed specifically for customer-facing experiences. So I'd recommend thinking about it that the Salesforce One mobile app that you can download is really for your employees. They can look at any information there, including the customer profiles, but a customer-facing application would be built separately and then linked into Salesforce using Heroku Connect. A couple more questions around what does it take to connect apps that are already running on Heroku with Salesforce and maybe Salesforceify those. we can certainly do that. I think the best next step is to contact us, and we can talk to you about how to get running with Connect and how to connect that in with your either existing Salesforce instance or to set up a Salesforce instance to be able to do that.
I should note, though, that Heroku Connect essentially reads data from Salesforce into a Heroku Postgres database, and then uses a set of heuristics to push any changes to that data back to Salesforce if you are using it in a bidirectional mode. So in terms of Salesforceifying, so to speak, an existing Heroku application, it's pretty straightforward. You create an app, you create a database, and you decide what Salesforce org you want to move data in and out of, and that's about as straightforward as it gets. And it can be used with one or more orgs. So in case you're trying to build a global loyalty program, and you've got a different org for Belgium and for Germany and for Italy, you can absolutely create that cross-border experience using a service like Heroku Connect on top of Heroku. It takes advantage of all that data, the rich data you've got inside your Salesforce deployment.
Great. So I see more questions coming in, and I see some around how auto-scaling at Heroku works, and that's a native feature, so we can help you with that. And if you have more questions about it, please just go ahead and give us a shout or send us an email, and we can help you figure out how it works. Anything else?
I see one. For a partner, what would be the best way to learn more about all of this? Is there a point of contact that I could talk to? Well, you're talking to at least one of them right now. Do feel free to peruse the Dev Center articles, to fill out the web form, to tweet us or email us from the Heroku site. Really straightforward to do. Believe you me, we'd love to put our products in your hands. So we'd love to see what you would build with them.
And I see one more question related to loyalty, and the question is whether there are other companies or examples outside of retail where people are using customer loyalty apps, and the answer is yes. I think retail is an example that everyone can relate to. We've all been shoppers. We've all gone out and worked and visited stores, but there are many different types of businesses that are working with loyalty applications. So,
we're seeing a lot in travel. Hospitality, concierge type services. We see examples from more diverse industries than you would believe. We've seen health sciences, life sciences, really surprising places, because everyone wants to create brand preference and everybody wants to do a better job connecting with their customers using the data that they have. So it comes up a lot.
Great. So these are all great questions. We'd be happy to continue to answer more, so feel free to reach out to either of us at our email addresses at salesforce.com or at Heroku, or via our Twitter links that were included at the beginning of the presentation. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us here today as part of the Customer Loyalty webinar, and we'll hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.